Jump right in. Hey, and welcome to the Wondrous Podcast. So this week I've got my amazing guest, the wonderful Hattie Murdoch, aka HATi. Welcome aboard.
Hello.
You're looking rather beautiful in the studio there.
Thank you so much. It's excellent lighting.
It's all about the lighting. Hopefully I'm not going to disappear into that kind of infinite white space behind me. So just a quick introduction about HATi. HATi is one of my favourite people in the whole world. So we'll start with that. I'm going to read your biography just to make you cringe.
Lovely.
Are you ready for a cringe fest?
Yeah. Go on then.
So HATi is a professional songwriter, producer, topliner, vocalist and artist. She specialises in creating and working with artists in the pop, folk, electronica and dance genres, and her credited work has amassed well over 5 million Spotify streams. Her notable work includes working with Sony Music, Joe Mcelderry, Eliot Kennedy, a Splice exclusive vocal sample pack with Ryan Kay, Choriza May, placements on BBC, Love Island, HBO, plus her own artist work released with Saint in the City Records.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
That sounds pretty good.
Didn't even chat GPT, that one.
I know. I'm very impressed. So I think we should start with how we met each other, the daytime version of that.
Yeah. PG.
Yeah, the PG appropriate version. So casting my mind back, so this would have been at a songwriting conference. Picture this, there's like these sliding doors that are about to open and the wonderful special guest performer is about to take onto the stage. The first glimpse I got of you was the back of you, funnily enough, watching you walk in. Yeah, your best bits. Watching you take to the stage, and you did a performance of Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie. We had 4 songwriters performing their hits to a big conference. So that was like my first exposure to HATi. That was kind of a bit of a last minute thing, wasn't it?
And it was with Rob Davis who wrote it, who wrote the Kylie track. And I'd never met him before, and we sort of met in this back room and sort of ran through the song, and he was like, I can't really remember the chords. And I was like, well, I don't know the lyrics, so I don't really know how we got through it. And I just remember it being very high for my vocal. The lyrics are actually quite hard to remember, and I'm such a bad person with lyrics. I just don't have space for them in my head. So I always have a phone or a piece of paper or something. And I think I had a couple of them like written on my hand just in case. Yeah.
It was actually quite mesmerizing to watch you do it. You know, I didn't realize that you didn't know the words that well.
No, it got jumped on me quite last minute. It was really nerve-wracking. I've always had horrendous performance nerves anyway.
Yeah.
And then meeting Rob, obviously, he's so lush, thank goodness. Yeah. And it did lead on to like a lot of writing that we did together. So I was really grateful for the introduction. But in my head, I was like, I'm just not doing this justice and blah, blah, blah. And there was a, because I think it's a room of musicians. That's one of the hardest audiences to get in your head. Yeah.
Yeah. And the irony can't get you out of my head. You can't even remember the lyrics, right? Yeah. It's not really that hard. It's like la 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 la.
I know, it's the order, isn't it? You're like, oh, I don't know. Is it la? Is it a can't? Is it Kylie? She did well with that to remember it all the time.
Yeah. No, it's an absolute banger though. You just started a publishing arrangement. I had was at the point of leaving my job at that point. You were still working part-time and doing musical projects. For me, I had been there just as you were about to leave your job. This publishing deal, I guess for you, was a real kind of infrastructure for you to start pursuing your artistry. The thing that surprised me is that you're not from a musical family.
No, I'm not really. My mum's side is musical. Everybody in our family loves music. I've had a very busy household. I'm youngest of 4. So really I grew up on what mum and dad had on record, which was, I remember we had a Now album, like Now 12 or something on record, which was class, and the Moody Blues and a lot of 60s records and stuff like that. But I wasn't really that interested. I kind of grew up on the stuff my sisters were listening to and what my brother was listening to. So a lot of pop, and being very rural Lincolnshire, which is where I grew up, the nearest town was a long way away. And so I didn't have any record shops or anything like that. No concerts to go to. So it was just what was available in Woolworths, which was pretty much top 40 and whatever I recorded off the top 40, on off the radio. My mum was a primary school teacher at the time, and she, for her sins, was involved in the Recorder Festival. So if anybody born in the 80s and 90s had the joy of going to a sort of regional recorder festival, well, God help you. But it did mean that she had a guitar in the house. I was maybe 7 or 8. She decided that she was going to get a piano. And so from there, I started having lessons when I was about that. And then everything at school, little guitar lessons, recorder lessons, that sort of stuff.
Not to call you a loner, but you're a loner. And,
thank you. Yeah, I agree.
Just to write it down, just got this image of you just literally spending hours and hours just playing, and like without that kind of expectation of becoming an amazing instrumentalist. For you, a lot of it was keeping yourself occupied, really.
Yeah. And so I was like 14 when my brother left to go to university. So I had about 4 years on my own after being in a very busy household. And so the piano, and we luckily had a music room which had a piano, had a guitar. And that's really where I spent the hours, where I spent all my time. Started writing because I was no singer, hated singing in front of anybody, and just wanted to accompany myself. I'm self-taught guitar, self-taught singing, and then anything else that goes along. I think we had a pair of castanets, which I'm quite the expert on as well.
That is a song as well.
I think I've tried. Saw myself as a little rock and roll star in this tiny little room.
And you and I are really similar, because I, like you, had the recorder thrust on me and was sat there. Basically, it was a Blackadder theme for me. I was just kind of like worked out that I could play that. And then suddenly you're like the star of the family, because everyone's like, oh, play that one song. And then you're playing all the notes wrong, and it sounds like somebody dragging their like nails down a chalkboard.
I do remember taking the recorder to my granddad's, him just saying, less of that, thanks. Less of that. I remember trying to sing as well on the piano, and my dad like knocking on the door going, are you okay in there? Are you all right? And I was like a bit mortified. We were never really in the family that get up and do a turn, or it was a bit like don't show off kind of thing, which I think made me even more like perfectionist on craft. Like I wouldn't show people until things were just right and just so.
By the sounds of things, being left to your own devices, I think that has actually shaped very much how you work with your artistry now and in the studio. You have developed that working alone, and I think putting those hours in at the beginning, I don't know, it's something like 10,000 hours to become like a specialist or expert. So you mentioned you had like a year in America as part of your course. I just want to know a little bit more about that.
I ended up coming to Newcastle University to do a music degree, and flute was my main thing. That was the way I got in, really, because I did my grade 8. I think I did my grade 8 when I was like 17, something like that, maybe 18. The classical route was like a given. It's what you could quantify. So when I went to uni, I got there and I was like, oh gosh, it's very classical. I was having cigarettes outside with the percussionists. Do you know what I mean? It was just like not so much me. Got in on my personal statement, really, and tried really hard in my first year, worked really, really hard, and I got a 2-1, and they said, do you want to transfer across into the Bachelor of Music, which means you get a year abroad? Hell yeah. Where you got. And then at that point I started doing a few open mics and like doing stuff outside the degree anyway, and I was really, really interested in like hip-hop and turntablism, music that I'd never really grown up on, and for me it was like this whole amazing world. So I got this chance to go away because I transferred on to the year abroad. I was like, well, where's left? And they were like, Europe, and I was like, oh, I find this hard enough in my own language, let alone trying to learn another one. Illinois in America, I was like, where the bloody hell's that? All right, fine. And so I was like, well, I didn't fancy America because Bush was in at the time and it was all like full of idiots. Anyway, I ended up going there for the year. And it was incredible because my first semester, I found out that my marks didn't count towards my final degree. And I just had to pass the year. Yeah. And I just went wild. I basically started seeing someone. He was in a band. He was in a hip hop band from Chicago. I was flying for like different clubs and I was doing loads of open mic nights, and then got to go on tour with this little band. Like, they were amazing, this hip hop band. into the random parts of America. So Wisconsin, Iowa, Ohio, like the Midwest, tiny little towns that nobody would ever go to. And that was a huge one. And I started breakdancing, and like it was my kind of way into
breakdancing.
Yeah, did you not know that?
No, I know now.
Yeah, I competed and everything actually, because there wasn't many B girls at the time. So breakdancing females, there was a lot of B boys, but not so many B girls. And I was like, this is my way in. I am a middle class white girl from Lincolnshire, right? How do I get into the hip hop scene in Chicago? And it was dancing. My eyes really opened up, and I got to travel so much of the US because my marks didn't count. So that was mint. I did classical performance, I did do flute performance, but I also did computer music, and I did collaboration, so like different kind of more improvised collaboration. I turned the degree, I went in as a classical player, and it really gave me the chance to kind of discover myself and different options outside the classical world that would suit me better. When I went to university to then go, I can try loads of different things. And I've never been very like good at just doing, I'm a jack of all, master of sod all.
Trades. Did you get homesick at all?
I wouldn't say homesick. I did come back because I got arrested out there as well, like the night before.
We didn't throw that one into the earlier chat. How did you get arrested?
Oh, so the person I was seeing, we went back to his in outside of Chicago, and I didn't realize that I was 20, and I didn't realize that in the cities you had to be 21 to be in a bar. Like on campus, you could be 18, you just needed a wristband. Now, the fact that I couldn't afford to get anything in that bar anyway, I had a bag full of beer. So, but there was a lot of people in the bar. They'd everybody come back from uni, everybody meeting up before Christmas. And the bar got raided. And I tried to play like I'm English, blah, blah, blah. They separated us off, and then realised that they'd separated me off with the other girls, and the boys were separate. And then I got cuffed to these other girls, put in the back of the cop car, in jail overnight. So I didn't think I was going to get home at all, actually. But it was essentially like, it's a drinking ticket, so it's the same as like a parking ticket. But I had to go to court, which was like... Oh
my God, it's like your rites of passage. I mean, we were shitting it.
Yeah, I was. But also I found it quite funny. I don't know why. I think because I was 20 and I was like, I've been drinking in pubs since I was 16.
Yeah.
I just thought it was daft. I thought it was really like, I've not really done anything wrong, let's be honest. And I've not been caught with a beer because I managed to get all the beers out of my bag and shove them behind a radiator.
Oh no.
I didn't actually get caught with anything. I was very happy to leave Lincolnshire and very happy to go to Newcastle.
I'm just now interested. So you did your kind of wild year in the US, got arrested, played in these bands, put beers behind a radiator. Coming back home after that, what that would have been like, because of course, you've probably got a student debt that you've racked up, got to pay your fine for the arrest.
Yeah,
what was it like then coming back, setting your adulthood back up?
Yeah, I think it gave me a bit of clarity of the direction I wanted to go. And I got a lot of confidence playing in bars over there as well, and like just getting the hours under my belt really with gigging. And so when I came back, I remember this conversation on my graduation day, and mum and dad were like, so what are you going to do? At this point, I'd already started doing open mics. I said, we're setting up a record label. And they were like, yeah, but what are you going to do? And I was like,
real job.
Oh my God, like I'm a musician. And I remember being really offended by this, but what am I actually going to do? I knew I needed a job. I knew I needed to pay the bills. But everything that I did for like 4 or 5 years, really, every bit of money that I earned in admin went straight back into my project, went straight back into the label, went straight back into all of that.
For me, when I was working in that corporate job and I was just plucking up the courage to jump, what was it like with your colleagues as well? Because bear in mind, you'd got all of these crazy stories, you've been doing all these bits and pieces in music. Was it quite hard to have that separate life going into a day job?
As I progressed in the admin job, because they just kept giving me promotions, which was amazing. And there was a point where I was negotiating very high budgets with the job that I was doing, like multi-million-pound budgets. And I'd be sat in these meetings with really top people and thinking, I got a gig tonight, like I've got a showcase, and just being like, I don't think I should be here.
That's so funny because, like, I don't know if I ever told you the story about the whiteboard and the penis.
No, but it sounds like similar to what
Well, I
I
was
do.
like you, was in that board meeting with all those people, and they got me up to like do this presentation about some stats or something. So I'm there with the whiteboard marker and the whiteboard, and in my head I was just thinking, I just want to draw a massive phallus on the board. It was like, for me, I knew I was in the wrong job then. It was that
Yeah.
kind of like eureka moment.
There is a Facebook post that comes up every single year of a colleague that I work with, and I'd arranged a banana and 2 oranges wonderfully on the desk.
Artistic integrity, I love it.
Yeah, and I think there was was quite funny on emails, and people like me because I think I was just slightly different from everybody else. I
Yeah,
had a
that's
bit of
nice.
lightheartedness. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got to try and have some fun in it, and I've
you've
got to
got to.
try and enjoy it. And it motivated me massively to work extra hard on everything else. And my goal at that point was literally to work full time in music. And I didn't know how I was going to do it.
How did you mentally manage that? Because it's a lot. Because even if you're in a job that you can do in your sleep, it's still like 37 hours out of your life. I'm just interested to know how you managed to make a boundary with it, or did you? How did you manage it?
No, I didn't make a boundary at all. I think there was a lot of colleagues who were super happy to support me, came to a lot of gigs, and everybody knew that I did music. So there was no need to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Everybody knew kind of where I was going. My manager at the time did. They won't like me saying it now, but I used a lot of those hours because I could do my job pretty quickly.
Stationery that fell in my bag when I was working in an office, and I was literally, I'm terrible, but I was moonlighting the whole time.
Yes.
I was sending off demos. I was doing all of that stuff, using the printer. I mean, once,
oh my goodness,
I remember I was like, went to print off where all of like the coffee machines were, and like the director was there at the printer, and then I had that kind of awkward thing where like you're making eye contact with this kind of flyers I'd printed off, and he's like, "Oh, this looks cool." I was like, "Yeah, if you want to come down, it's on Tuesday evening at like 8 p.m."
Oh, it's such a similar, like almost exactly the same. I ended up managing reception, and so I was in charge of the stationery orders. Obviously, I was doing that, and I had no access to a big, printer and like commercial size printer, so it's brilliant. Yeah, but I think in your 20s, you're very much like, I don't care. I didn't care. I was like, this is my goal. I've done a music degree. I'm not here. It benefited me in lots of ways. And a lot of the skills were transferable, weirdly enough. Budgeting, everything to do with spreadsheets.
Calendar and turning up and, setting meetings up. It's all stuff that you transfer. It's really interesting to hear how for you there wasn't a division. For me, I had to have the two separate things because it was so intense in some of those meetings that, you couldn't wander off in your head and do that. You needed to be on the ball, and, it was quite cutthroat at the kind of level that I was at, people waiting for you to make a mistake. Like you, I had so many colleagues that took a real interest, coming down and supporting the gigs. Those are the people that I think I'm still in touch with now. It's so nice to still have those relationships.
I used to mouth off all the time, oh, about this, about that.
Yeah.
Something to do with music. And because they didn't quite know, they was just like, it's just so rock and roll, isn't it? And you're like, yeah, it is actually.
You had enough performance work and production work, enough time really to then make that leap into doing it full time. One of really funny memories that I have of you is that you were in that kind of window of coming down to London from Newcastle. And I still remember staying at that £30 hotel in London. Basically, we'd gone out for a networking event or something. It was like a showcase evening or something we'd gone to, and I think I'd missed the last train back, and you're like, oh no, just stay here. And I remember waking up in the morning, there's you and I really hungover, and your feet in my face here, but you said that hotel, like you'd had a few kind of hair-raising experiences.
Yeah, I did. I used to sofa surf on anybody's, and actually there was a few girls from uni who I went to stay with because they'd moved down there. But they were all lawyers and whatnot, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going out to this thing," and so I ended up just going, do you know what? I'm just going for the cheapest ones, and that hotel. I'm not sure if it's that one or another one, and I'd gone in, and there was like a load of Russian men And
Yeah.
I thought, oh, okay. Put my nerves up. It was communal bathroom as well, horrendous. But it had breakfast. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, obviously that's a win for me. So I
Yeah.
went down for breakfast in the morning and I sat at this table and there's loads of like single Russian men.
Yeah.
And I was like, eyes out, left, right. Oh my God, okay. Brought breakfast over with some eggs and a sausage, right? And the eggs were like McDonald's eggs squished
Yeah.
flat. And I was
Perfectly
just about
circular.
to dip. And this bloke's over the other side of the table and he's looking at me and he's like giving me the eyes. And I was thinking, don't
No,
fucking
don't
say
talk to
anything.
me.
Please don't talk to me. He went, your eggs look like titties. And I was like, and I looked at them and I was like, you're right. They do.
Oh,
Thank
God.
you. I wasn't sure what else to say.
Well, you could have offered him one, like, but no.
Mate, I was on a budget. There's no way he was having one of my titty
Yeah,
eggs.
you're not gonna buy eggs. No, I love that. But I think, like you, I was the same because I went through that kind of real scarcity point where, although I'd got like some performance income coming in, I was very much like booking things in advance and, sofa surfing like you. Now I look at it and I just think, oh God, can I really be on a bus for like 3 hours, like with someone's armpit in my face?
Yeah, you used to get the bus up here. I remember you got a bus a few times from Brighton up to Newcastle, which is like horrendous. But you'd get it for like 15 quid.
To be fair though, like actually it was so exciting. I mean, when you think that you'd been in an office for that long,
Yeah.
and suddenly you've got time to let your brain wander. And I think there's that thing of like looking out the window and just being free to do nothing but just indulge in your thoughts. Those long train and bus journeys, like it's just a time that you wouldn't necessarily have if you were in an office.
There's so much value in that because you're away from all of
Yeah.
you're just
It's a
there for
pleasure,
that
isn't it?
focus. I'd have all that time to think what I'm really prepare for those sessions.
Yeah.
When sometimes I find even now people come in for sessions and I'm like, oh God, I haven't really prepared because I haven't had that hour or two to myself in the morning.
We worked together on quite a few songs on my album. One thing that you're really good at doing is just helping artists find a way to obviously tell a story. We were talking recently about how for you now it's all about enjoying the sessions and you want to be led by what feels good.
I think it came from doing some quite high pressured sessions and feeling really inadequate, like not really knowing why I was there or what I was doing, what my role was. And I remember doing one, it was a really high profile one actually, and I got called in on it and I was like, oh, mint, like this girl is right up my street. I reckon I can blow this one away. Right. And I was there as a writer, so with a producer and another top line, and it was just horrendous. It was like the artist was like 2 hours late. She was on a label, and then the producer was just like, oh yeah, what do you think about this? And the top line was like, blah, blah, blah. And like I could not get a word in edgeways. I really couldn't. And you'd sing that, wouldn't you? And the girl was like, yeah, probably, yeah, whatever. And I just walked away from that one going, I'm not in it for this because there's no joy in that. And I understand you've got to have these crappy sessions to work out why you want to do it.
Yeah, but I think also, we have to be realistic and think about how the industry has changed. Very early on, I was trying to get all the commercial placements and, try and have that hit song. But a lot of the people that I met and that was collaborating with, it's such like a closed door club, isn't it? It's like basically 60-year-old white men. They all kind of are writing on the same things. And I don't know. I mean, the magic that I've had from actually working with people that have got an authentic story, that actually want to be in that session, that really value that time.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, in time, I've really gone full circle with it because I started off like you doing the artistry stuff, kind of got pulled onto that commercial belt, the conveyor belt, and then coming back and just getting back into the why you're writing the songs, what it's all about, storytelling.
Their stuff goes to the bottom of the pile unless they are artists, like literally they are the artist and their whole business is based around them as an artist. But so much of us with portfolio careers, it's the one that earns you the least. But actually, if you put your time into that, it's the one that is most valuable.
Yeah, and it helps you to connect with people and, it's like a tool, isn't it? It's like treating that as an actual set of skills within itself and allowing it to, because, you know, you can apply that to so many different aspects. One thing that I think it kind of leads really naturally towards now is, you know, for example, lockdown. You and I had been working on that project just as lockdown hit. And
Mm-hmm.
I found that putting stuff on hold, especially at the artistry side of things, lockdown really did restrict me from connecting with people. It's so interesting because you and I have got such different experiences of it. You actually loved it, didn't you?
I adored it. I absolutely loved lockdown.
Yeah.
It was just me and the dog. It was just class, like everything that I could do on my own timetable, my own schedule. I could deal with my own energy
Yeah.
properly without having to be anywhere. I'm a very reluctant performer, weirdly
Yeah.
enough, in this job. And I will perform because I feel like I'm quite good at it. But I don't enjoy the makeup. I don't enjoy putting the hair, putting the hair on, putting my hair on.
Get your wig on.
Oh, get my teeth in.
Get your teeth in.
For me, that is just like, I love grafting. I'm a grafter,
Yeah.
and I love sitting there in my pajamas with a glass of wine,
Yeah.
working on something. And I found that my skills improved tenfold. I would have thought my production skills, my mixing skills, everything. But it's amazing how much, when you trust yourself, what infrastructure you've already built up. And you're like, actually, if you took a leap, not everything's going to fall apart underneath you. You know, like, there's so much that you built up, and you don't trust yourself that you've got that structure, and you
But I
actually do.
this fear that you talk about, because so many of the people that I speak to, certainly through doing this podcast, have the same, you know, experience of kind of living day to day. But there is that kind of, I always call it the fuck wave, where you've got this kind of face in this wave that's getting closer and closer. It's like, oh my God, what if I don't get another gig this month? What am I going to do? You know, by the sounds of things, you're now a lot more led by external factors because, you know, you're quite self-sufficient and you're quite adaptable. It's now an opportunity for you to pick up more of the studio side of things, right?
Yeah. It's the same as me doing like 6 gigs in the bar that nobody ever goes to, and
Yeah.
earning the same amount of money. So, like, for me, that commercial work, it's work, which is really helpful, but it does mean that I can be in the studio.
What do you do when, you know, like managing the stress? Because there's a lot, and, you know, your mental health as well, like, takes like a battering with it. I know actually walking the dog for you is like really therapeutic, and being by the beach, but have you got other things in place that you find help you manage that stress?
No.
No. Well, it's good to be honest though, if you
Yeah.
don't.
It's funny, I was having this conversation with myself this morning. I have a couple of anchor points everywhere. I play netball, and I play for a club. So that is my Tuesday evenings, and it's kind of sacred, and it's sort of, that gives me some physical movement. I'm with people. It's social to me. But the rest of it, I'm battling with myself like every week, to be honest. And I'm coming out of like a very busy few months after even like the dog walk. She got attacked by another dog at the end of February.
Oh,
And so she's a senior dog, and it's been that recovery where even the dog walks have been stressful. Like, she's slow. I'm worried about her pet owner. They are your world, really.
Of course, and, you know, they're relying on you too.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually okay to realize that it's kind of stressful, even if you're actually able to really recognize the fact that it's stressful is part of being able to manage it. Because if you get to the stage of complete burnout, you've already gone too far. But at least in this point, like having those boundaries with things like time, just making room for things, or just being mindful, because I find that that's the biggest thing that I've found that's helped me, is to just try a lot of mindfulness work. So just whenever my brain wanders off, I try and just bring it back to, you know, sitting down with a coffee, listening to music, even like listening to audio books. There's so many different ways, but just keeping that mindfulness. But I think also accepting that that is what comes with this career. Going back and working in an office and doodling cocks on a board, you know.
Sounds great. Free tea and coffee, free printing.
Free printing. I love it.
What a win. Free highlighters. I know when I'm sort of spiraling, and it's just, I just need to get through this day. I just need to get through this next thing. Just need to get through this thing. And I do find managing stress really, really hard, and I don't have great
No,
coping mechanisms.
I'm exactly the same. Like I'm only now getting a handle on it, and I'm only just, I'm not saying that I'm an expert on it, but I'm more sort of, I realize that it's an ongoing thing. It's
Yeah.
like just something that you just have to be really mindful of. But just acknowledging that it's difficult and that you haven't got it right is part of moving
Yeah.
forward. But for you, long term, that you want to have a better balance with it. And
Yeah.
each of these occasions where you've moved from one infrastructure to another, even moving studios, you've had to set that intention. So it's likely it's going to get a lot better, right?
Oh, and I think I'm always a light at the end of the tunnel, for sure. I'd always have a positive outlook, like this too shall pass,
Yeah.
and I know that as artists in this music industry, it is very, very hard. It's getting harder, and it's way harder already than it was. Like the fact that I got offered a publishing deal to start with was incredible, and I'm so grateful for so many of the opportunities and the funding opportunities. But you never get out of your brain this starving artist kind of mentality that it can all be taken away from you so quickly because it's fleeting. It's the music industry. Nothing ever lasts, blah, blah, blah. And I think for resilience, I don't subscribe to that. I do subscribe to financial and instability, that things could be taken away, or you get a bill and you're like, how the hell am I going to deal with this? But music, if you're creative enough, you will find a way to creatively make an income in creative.
Is one of the things that I think has really happened for you is that your studio's become like this kind of sanctuary for people. I think one of the things you're really good at is enabling artists to kind of tell their story. We worked on the song 7 times. Now this was just literally before lockdown hit, and we talked a little about things going on hold for a while and how artistry seems to come down the pile a little bit. But I mean, I'm a firm believer that these things just need to take their time. That song was quite a difficult one to write, with just the nature of it. But I think I remember that day in the studio, we'd gone in and we tracked a lot of stuff for 3 Choices as well. And do you remember we had, I think, probably about half an hour left at the end. I was like, should we write something? And we ended up with that song for a little while.
Yeah, that one came really quick. I think I'd gone out for a cigarette or a wee or something like that. I came back and you'd sort of, pussycat. For the audio listeners only, it's an actual pussycat. I think I came back and you'd pretty much written the whole thing.
I think a lot of that was just, when you've been in that quite intensive space, you're open already, because we'd kind of done a lot of deep talking about quite difficult subjects. I think these songs, when you've been in that mindset, they just kind of come from nowhere, really.
Yeah.
The 3rd song bonus.
Yeah, it always is. I think, when you obviously run in the camps, you're the king of writing 3. And everybody's going, I can barely get a chorus.
Yeah, just dragging them along when they're on their last legs. There's another song in there.
Yeah. And I think it's always worth it. I think once you've got rid of a lot of the barriers, I think that's partly it. You've self-edited. And then there's kind of just this open loveliness that you can just free flow. But yeah, I'm very much trying to work out the energy of a person now.
Yeah.
When they come into the studio, trying to work out, are they nervous, right? What can I do to just make
facilitate?
Yeah, exactly, to be able to get the best vocal out of them. I've got an array of snacks and drinks, and we can go for a walk, and we can do this. And with writing, the first couple of hours is just chatting anyway. Yeah. And it's about making somebody feel safe. And this studio, for me, has always been about introducing newer artists to how the process works. And just trying to get over that red light syndrome of, the recording buttons on, oh my God, I can't sing, I've forgotten how. And just go, no. I found studios very stressful when I was an artist.
Yeah,
they were in my early 20s. And I think everybody resonates. So to be able to have a space that feels like a studio, but also feels a bit like a living room. I've worked with engineers as well who go, I'll have another take. And you're like, what have we done wrong?
I haven't got anything left in the tank.
Yeah, I do a bit of teaching at Newcastle College once or twice a year, a workshop guest lecturer kind of thing. That's what I say to all of the studio guys and girls. I'm like, it doesn't matter how good
Yeah.
your skills are. If you are working with an artist and you can't get the best out of them because you've grunted at them for like 2 hours and they're frustrated because they don't know why they need another take, and you're like, I just need another take for a double. I'm like, if you're a nice person, you will get so much work.
Yeah.
You will be a success. Your
It's so
skills
true.
come naturally. And so this space has become somewhere that I have a lot of female artists in, LGBTQ. It's a free space.
Yeah.
Anything goes in here. I'm so
It's
willing
like a
to.
sanctuary, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
that's probably why people, like word of mouth, recommending people.
Yeah, I've never had to advertise or market this
Yeah.
studio. Everything has been word of mouth, which I still think is incredible. But that's also down to a lot of the people I've met on retreats, everybody that I've met in various different situations, being out there networking in a really genuine way.
This funny story that we have to share is that you came on the writing camp that I put on. This is 2018, so this is when we got snowed in.
Yeah.
And do you remember? Because you had to get back for that gig. Were you there the extra couple of days over the weekend?
Yeah, because we couldn't get back up the A1. So I was going back with somebody who was going back to Hull, and managed to get me back to Leeds, and then I got a train from there. But it was
that like you running to get the doorbell thing if you running to have a wee? Was that the same one? Or was that different? That was a different camp, wasn't it?
That was the last camp where me and Kaz, we drove back up. Well, Kaz drove really, and I needed a wee so bad by the time we got to Leeds, because it was about 6 hours by then. And she got a ring doorbell. I'm like, I just need a wee.
I'm so funny because I've never seen you move that fast in your life. There was this kind of like in your eyes, it was like eye on the prize, like literally that door flung out the way, and then you're like literally putting your way.
Yeah, the probably one of my favorite ever retreats is the one where we got snowed.
There's so many videos of us just like hanging out in the evening. I've got so many fond memories of it because it was a big group of us. We'd like been, and I think because it's quite intensive, isn't it? Like when you're writing 3 days on the trot. And I've got this wonderful video of you sat there with like, I think you had got the penny whistle or something, and we were like doing Wonderwall or something, and it was just
Sounds
hilarious.
Right. Yeah, it was fun. I remember us doing a booze run in somebody's Mini. They were like, don't go out, don't go driving. We were like, it's fine, we've run out of beer. It felt very warm and got to know people even more, essentially, just like we were all talking creative stuff, we were all talking business as well.
It's like therapy though, isn't it? Because you've got so many sort of people in the same situation all doing the similar sort of portfolio stuff. I wanted to ask you a little bit, because one of my favourite songs that you've written is Still. You were at the stage where this is probably going into a co-write with bringing yourself as the project, and really kind of coming in with a vision for it. And I just wanted to know how that was different for you from the engineering stuff and the recording, coming in with a vision.
So my sort of pathway is that I started off as an artist, when I finished university, and then I got to a point where I was like, I'm disillusioned with the artistry, and I want to be a writer. I want to be writing for different projects. And so that's what led me into meeting a lot of writers and then really pushing that publishing, pushing the writing. And so I was always going to be a co-writer, like for other people's artistry projects. And then I think I just had a few bits left in the tank that I was like, I just think I want to write for myself again, because I've done a lot of writing for other people. I've never co-written for myself. I think that's probably the first time I've co-written for something that could be for me. I just never put myself out there for that. I think what really helped is that knowing the co-writers and what they'd done. So the wonderful Tanya and Anne-Marie were my co-writers, and I chose those two because I knew they worked well together. But also they'd co-written a track called Wild with Dominique, which I'd produced and mixed. And I was like, I loved how that had come around. That energy had come around with Dom. And so I was like, I think these are the right people for me to be open with. Also just be like, not clear, because the way I write isn't clear cut for myself. It's not like I need it to be this. It's a feeling, and it's a little bit wandery. Do you know what I mean? It kind of wanders around.
I mean, it's left field as well, right?
And I needed people who were creative enough to follow that exactly. So it wasn't like it needs to be a single, it needs to be this. It's like, this is the feeling, and I kind of know instrumentally where I want to go, but I don't know how to quite get the words out, and I don't know. And they were so accommodating. for that.
Yeah, where would you say you are now? For me, like you, I've gone from doing the artistry thing to doing more performing in functions and, using that as an income stream to, support and enable the original stuff. Where would you say you are at now in terms of artistry? Would you just say that it's still on the burner, but just down the stack?
Yeah. I've just had some photos done, actually. Just got the master back as well. I do have something coming out like in the next couple of months, but it's a song that I wrote a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I've just been sat on it. Like, I've been like, I need to get it out. And I think I find when I sit on things for too long, it gets very stale and very like, oh, I don't like this anymore. I think a lot of people will resonate with that. And it needs to go out in the world.
Same.
It needs to belong to other people. Like, it's done with its time with.
But do you know what? That's exactly how to view it, because I feel that frustration too. And look, I've got 3 or 4 sound recordings that I've done with you that need to be on a collection. So part of the reason of doing the podcast was to give that a bit of momentum, to talk about it, to bring the energy back into it. But I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's about ownership.
Yeah.
It's like you don't really own it anymore. It's like for other people.
Yeah, like I've outgrown it and it's outgrown me. Do you know what I mean? It needs to be somewhere else and with belonging to other people so people can get another experience from it. I find that I have to draw a line under it because I can't move on with writing until that kind of bit's done and out the way. And I've been like, okay, and we are allowed to change as artists. And the more we sit on things, we're like, I don't resonate with this as much as I did when I wrote it. Even though it's a class song, like your stuff's absolutely class, but like you're in a different place to where you were when you wrote it and different situations. And
I agree. And I think that
doesn't stop it from being an amazing piece of work, by the way. It's just the relationship changes.
I also think that looking back at it retrospectively, because like you, I've got the stuff that we've worked on, that by putting it out as before the world shut down as a collection, it kind of reframes it. Like, for example, you're saying about changing as an artist, I've got my name on it now. It's something that I would, did before I went under just the name Marks, but it was really important for me to establish that I'm not just a machine churning out songs. I'm actually a person who's had life experience, and the art is actually part of that process. The, lockdown hitting and taking that time away from it is part of that musical journey. And I think it needs to be framed in that way too.
They're little chapters, little postcards of like certain times in your life. I think for me, I've never been very good at talking to people about my feelings, my emotions, and it always has come out through music. I can sometimes be a bit like, a bit quiet or a bit Larry or as well, like the two opposites, because I don't know how to quite explain myself. And so through writing, and it has been since I was sat in that music room from the age of 13, 14, like the only way to get out some frustration, the only way to get out an emotion was that way, because I'm not very good at talking about it. For me, like these are even more important little snippets of like, this is exactly how I felt. And the better I get at it, the more concise they are about little chapters in my life.
A lot of what we do and going forward now with our music is kind of just allowing it the space. It's okay as well to have sat on things for a while, even if they are a bit stale and you want to move on to the next thing. A lot of it is just even talking about it. It keeps it alive. And but I think like you, I want to be in a position where I'm putting out the current stuff very quick turnaround from writing it to performing it to releasing it.
Sometimes I find it very hard to access it quickly. Like it becomes a thing and it becomes like, and I don't want to do it because I'm scared that it's not going to be as good as it was, and all these kind of things.
Has pressure helped in any way? Pressure does not help you at all in any way. The times that you've had the breakthroughs in your creative career have been where the expectations have been
very low.
Normalized.
I completely agree. I think pressure, I work well under pressure when there's an external somebody or something that needs something from me. 100%. I can hit a deadline, not a bother. But for me, I need freedom and a chance to kind of be on my own. I say that I'm on my own all the time, but
I'm exactly so. But I think this is what people don't realize is about the amount of time that certainly people in creative industries spend on their own. I think you and I are quite similar because, when I said loner earlier on, it wasn't to be like,
It's all right.
you
I'm used
down,
to
but
it.
we're quite solitary creatures. And,
Yeah.
the truth be told, I'm actually very introverted and I find it quite hard to maintain an outgoing persona for an audience. I would really ideally like to lean more into being more solitary. I still want to have that part of my career as a performer, but I don't necessarily want to do my own original music with it. So it's kind of a bit like, how can I re-engineer my life so that I can do the creative solitude wanky singer-songwriter thing, indulge in that, but just enjoy it so that it doesn't become release dates, all of these things that just
Yeah.
pollute the
Yeah.
ether.
I know we've talked about this before, but like, I'm not very outcome driven. For me, the joy is in the creation.
Because when I first set up like the Song Sanctuary, I was literally trying to help people have this kind of commercial platform where they could get hits and all of this. I realized probably 5 or 6 years into it that actually creating a space for people is enough, and that in its essence is, it's more philanthropical than it is commercial or business orientated. And I think recently I've been spending time thinking about what it means, because it's more sort of, same with the songwriting. It's like, it is a necessity and it is a joy, but it's kind of like finding meaning in what you're doing and what brings you joy.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I'm on that constant search of trying to find exactly who I am, which changes all the time. The more I do those, for some people it is journaling, or it's talking to lots of people, and you get your sense of identity kind of in different ways. And for me, it's like musically, what stretches me, what challenges me, what satisfies me, everything to do with that is
intrinsic to
if
those.
I've said that word too many times. Doing retreats, if I'm forced to work with somebody, not saying that retreats is that at all, you work and you go, have I got a gut feeling about this person? You can read people really well and you match people really well in terms of personality anyway. But for me, then it's like, not just the song we wrote on that day, it's like, do I want this person to be in my tribe? Do I trust them enough to write them again, to ring them up and go, I've got a chorus, I need help with a verse, and it's for me. I don't often trust people. The music industry is full of people who talk a lot of shit.
Yes, totally.
And trying to find the right people who talk the right amount of shit to you. Brilliant. And that, I feel, has been like a big thing over the last 10 years, definitely being professional full time, is finding the people I trust, I can help, and they help me. It's not transactional in that sense. It's like genuinely.
What do you wish that you had known? I'm not saying, you have to go and chat to 18-year-old Hattie just about to get arrested. But what do you wish that you knew?
I don't think I know, because I'm not actively doing it.
No, but I mean, that in its essence is the right answer. Because you're not expected to know. But I mean, I know that I could say, I wouldn't have listened anyway.
Same, too stubborn.
In the future, I'd be like, oh my God, you've got a beard. Like, I'd be like, what the hell? But I think knowing that you haven't quite got there yet is success, because the minute that you have got there, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah. Probably the only thing that I would say, it's not all about you. Like, as in, when I did an originals gig for the first time in a couple of years. I just did it in November. And I was bricking it. I was absolutely bricking it. I was like, oh no, I do, because I've got all my loop pedals, everything set up. And it was class, actually. And I had this pep talk with myself, and it's like, these people have paid money to come and see. They haven't paid money for you to stand up on that stage and apologize for not being good enough. And if I could tell myself, across all the different performance issues that I've had over the years, being terrified to put things out, people get joy from what you do. And I forget that what I have has an impact on somebody and affects their day or affects their evening. And I think I get too wrapped up and just trying to see that viewpoint from the art that you're giving people and the work that you do with other people.
Would you just say, though, in general, it's more of like this kind of balancing act between just reminding yourself of like what is important And like, rather than it being this kind of secret elixir that you have that arrives at different points, it's just a constant balancing act between getting back into the roots of why you're doing what you're doing, just making time for it, and just acknowledging that I can see totally having the freedom to just make the art the way you want to make it. Do you regret anything
in music? Or
just in general, like career, like, well, yeah,
there's
no,
a
but like
lot of
just
things I regret.
career wise, is there anything that you wish you'd done differently?
Not really.
Hearing you talking about your art and the way that you're kind of living day to day and getting back into it, it has made me feel a little bit of regret that I haven't been more putting things out there, in terms of, like you, I don't think I'm validation driven at all. I don't think that I need approval, but I wish that I had just put stuff out and not thought about it so much.
Yeah. And I think especially these days, there's just so much, everything that means so much to us means slightly less when it's out there, or we overthink it in that sense. But I was reading something the other day about this sort of creative loop. We need that to go out to close that creative loop, and that feedback is really important. And regardless of whether we value a validation or not, it's still part of that loop, which is part of the creativity of making the art, putting it out there, seeing whether it affects anybody, or making some sort of response, makes them angry, it makes them sad, it makes some sort of emotion. It is naturally a loop that we forget that has to exist.
My dad passed away about a year and a bit ago.
Gosh, that long.
And he never ever shared his art with anyone.
Yeah.
So for me, that has become like a huge driver for me, because it's made me think, not that I'm shy about my art, but it's kind of just made me think, well, that would be a huge regret, not having people being able to look back and listen to it, or not to say that you have to have this kind of legacy, but it's kind of really put things into perspective for me. I don't want to leave a load of stuff on a hard drive.
Where songs go to die.
Yeah, but even if it's just like a bloody notepad with the words of the song title on it, and it's just made me think that I kind of owe that to myself and to the art itself. You've created this thing, and you're kind of depriving it from ownership of other people, right?
Yeah. And I have to look at artists or support acts that I've seen over the years that have just had this massive influence on me. They'll never know that. They might be shivering in their boots about their own confidence all the time and validation, all this kind of stuff. They don't know that 5 minutes that I saw seeing them or listening to that song, or actually putting it on my playlist and repeating it, has influenced me so much in a way that a lyric has gone for me, that way a melody has gone for me. That is now part of me and my being that then goes into other people's songs. So,
like with everything, it is just work in progress, isn't it?
It is. We're all works in progress, darling.
Aren't we just,
darling?
So I would just finish up by just sharing a couple of little funny memories of you and I. So I'm now, funny enough, it was actually one of the songwriting camps that we did in Spain.
This is the bit that I've been dreading the most, I think.
Yeah, the bit you've been dreading the most.
It's like a best man speech.
Best man speech. I've just got this memory of, like, somehow, I don't know how you got positioned behind that microphone and the keyboard, but somehow you'd been sort of manipulated into doing like a covers gig at this village at the top of the hill. And I was sitting there watching you, like, go in, put your HATi, I am HATi hat on, the HATi performer hat. And I'm watching you there, like, literally, you're tired, and I'm just literally, I remember, like, going there and dragging you off the keyboard and getting somebody else up there, like, shoving like a vodka and lime underneath your nose and getting you away from it.
I can vaguely remember that as well. It just felt like work. I was like, hang the fuck on here. I'm not getting paid. I'm paying to do this. What the fuck?
I had this, where I was staying, I had like this little kind of terrace bit, and I just remember like getting a few of my little favourites up there for like pre-playback drinks.
Oh, yeah.
So we like be up there with the old cheap carver and having a few drinks. But
I remember like the one night just sitting on the floor, absolutely wet. And I couldn't tell you what we were laughing about.
Oh, I can remember we'd come up with this song. I think it was called "Don't Be a Dick" with Sylvie.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Oh yes, I do remember now.
Yeah, the "Don't Be a Dick" song. I can just remember. Oh, Ray's bag. I just remembered Ray's bag. Oh God, that's so funny. I mean, that does need contextualizing.
Yeah, I think that's a very long story.
Someone's bag went missing, and then it turned back up, and then it just became like this kind of analogy for the week.
Literally, I had another writing camp where that had happened with somebody's bloody earring. It went behind this sofa, and for an hour we were looking for this some diamond earring. And it just went on for like the whole 3 or 4 days about this bloody diamond earring. And I managed to get it into loads of songs. I mean,
oh my God.
Earring.
It's brilliant.
You go a bit, you lose your brain a little bit, don't you, on retreat?
Yeah.
It's hilarious. We had a lovely time in Brighton. I came down and what we were talking about earlier. But I do remember just finding this dip from Aldi, which was very nice. It was like a pink.
And then they stopped doing it.
Yeah, they did. And
it was mint and something edamame bean.
Yeah, it was. It was absolutely glorious.
But that was the day that basically we were going to write this, telling you about like one of my little travel journeys that I'd been on. I was on this beach in Montenegro and I'd seen this beautiful sunset and all of this. And I'd got quite emotional. You got emotional, but the song was not coming, was it?
No.
I was like, should we just go to the beach and like have a barbecue? And then we ended up just having such a nice afternoon, have a little swim.
Yeah, having a wee in the sea.
I do a sea wee.
Yeah, it was really hot. I just remember it being gloriously hot.
Didn't I lend you like my Umbro shorts or something?
Yeah, and those are the ones I had a wee in the sea.
I've washed them since.
Oh, good. Oh, somebody would have bought them.
Yeah,
that's weird OnlyFans
portfolio career.
In it.
Well, thank you so much for spending your Friday afternoon with me.
My pleasure.
Definitely covered like everything from life to travel to music to peeing in shorts.
Yeah, and eggs that look like boobs.
Eggs that look like titties. Yeah, your titties look like eggs. Oh no, it's the other way around, wasn't it?
Yeah, your eggs look like yeah, if he'd said my titties look like eggs, I would have been like, right, well.
He probably appreciated that. So next thing is you've got some releases coming up. So what's coming out?
So I have had the lovely Joe Mcelderry in the studio this year, and magically, after a chaotic first session, he went with the first song we wrote. So Joe is releasing his on the 19th of June. So that's great. He's already played it at like York Pride and like various of the gigs. He's on tour this year as well. So that's incredible. I got my first X Factor winner in the bag. Yeah, whoop whoop. I've got a single coming out, which is called Don't Go Back to Sleep.
I love that tune.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very excited that that's going to finally come out. And then I've also got another release, I think that's in July as well, with a producer called Stray Light, and we've worked on a couple of different bits and bobs. And that's been a joy and feels very, very me, which is unusual for collaboration, especially with producers. So that's really exciting that that's coming out. And then my DYCP grant funding is in place, so I really look forward to hopefully by the end of the year. As I say, it's not outcome driven, it's not based on doing an EP or an album or anything, but I really hope that everything that I do with that money does mean that I can actively talk about it and inspire some others to get some
great. Well, thank you, Hattie. It's been a pleasure. And if you want to check Hattie's stuff out, is it Instagram?
Instagram, yeah, I am Hattie Music, HATI, and then essentially on there.
And your website is hattiemurdoch.co.uk.
It is.
Right, it's been a pleasure. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you, you too.
Speak soon. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.